Hey guys, in this video I'm going to teach you a few ways of progressing your training using reps, weight and eccentric loading. This video complements an article that I put on my website called What's Progressive Overload? In that article I teach you what progressive overload is and how to apply it to your training so that you can overcome plateaus and completely avoid them and keep making progress within your training. So I'll link it in the description below so you can go and read it, and then this video is complementary to that. So here's the example that we have. We have dumbbell bench press as the exercise, and we're working with 3 sets of 8 to 12 reps. That's what we've got, and we're going to go through an 8-week plan, and this is just a hypothetical situation. So when I program for my clients, I like to give a rep range instead of a set number of reps to hit. That's because there's always going to be some wiggle room needed depending on how that set feels. So as long as you're close to the rep range, that's going to be what you want most of the time. As I explain more, you're going to understand it a little bit better. So here's a few ways that you can progress your training. So in week 1, we pick a weight and we just roll with it. Okay, so 3 sets of 12 at 50 pounds. Okay, so we're already at the top end of the rep range. So that's a great indicator that we need to increase weight. We're already at the top end of the rep range, hence why the following week, in week 2, we choose 55 pounds. Okay, it's a little heavier now. Maybe you're not going to get quite as many reps. Unable to do 3 sets of 12. The first set is 12, then 11, and then 10. So you can see descending reps. So for this instance, I would say stay with 55 pounds. Okay, they're all within the rep range. That's fine. I would say stay with 55 pounds until you can get 3 sets of 12 at that same weight. Once you've reached that high end of the rep range, 3 sets of 12 at that weight, that's when you can increase again. Okay, so that's exactly what we did. We stayed with that same weight for week 3, and we just focused on trying to get 3 sets of 12, which we did. Okay, now moving on to week 4, 60 was going to be too much of a jump. During the warm-up sets, we were like, okay, 60 is going to be too much. So what we decided to do was add a 3-second eccentric portion to the lift. So that means that we're going from here to here. It's going to take us 3 seconds. It's going to make the movement significantly harder. Okay, and it's another way we can apply a progressive overload principle to our training. Again, you don't have to do this exact way, but this is just an example I wanted to show you how you can use it within your training. So week 4, you do 3 sets of 10 reps at 55 pounds, but you do 3 seconds lowering. Because this is so much harder, it's going to be much harder to get 12 reps. So 3 sets of 10 at 55 pounds. Week 5, 3 sets of 12 at 55 pounds with that same lowering. Okay, great. Now, potentially after a couple of weeks doing that, we can move up to the heavier dumbbells. Okay, but now we're down the bottom end of the rep range now. 3 sets of 8 at 60 pounds. The next week, 3 sets of 10. 3 sets of 11 at 60 pounds in the last week. I just want to point out that there's no right or wrong way to do this. As long as your training is hard, you're going to be making great progress, but this is a really good way to quantify how you go about doing it. You can clearly see you're making progress, and as long as you're training relatively close to failure, you're going to be seeing a great stimulus for muscle growth. So you might have other coaches say that you could have just increased this week up to 60. And you could have gone the lower end of the rep range. And that's fine, you could have done that. But this is just one model of doing things, and at least you know week to week what your goal is. You know that you're going to stay at the same weight until you've hit all 3 sets. Is it okay to do descending sets? Yeah, that's fine. That's absolutely fine. What you should aim for is for all of your sets to be 1 to 3 reps away from failure, sometimes 0 depending on the exercise. If it's an isolation movement, you can push close to failure, compound not so close maybe. If you're doing a back squat, you don't want to push all the way to failure, for example. But this is a great way to progress your training, and this can go on 16 weeks, 20 weeks. You know, keep making progress. Not every single week you're going to make progress. Why? Because some weeks you're going to be lacking sleep. There's going to be stressful things going on in your life. If you were to make progress every single week, you are going to be a world champion. So, small incremental changes and improvements. Can you squeeze an extra rep out here or there? Can you increase 5 pounds on certain lifts? Don't expect everything to always be going up, as well as reps, weight, Eccentric, not everything's going to be able to improve week over week over week. So just understand that. The more advanced you get, the harder it's going to be. Again, this is just one way of doing it. I hope you find this video helpful. Progressive overload is really, really important if you want to prioritize your performance. So if you want to learn a little bit more about it, make sure you head over to my website and check out that article. It's going to be really, really helpful. See you in the next video. Much love.